Super Regional Baseball returns to the box. We've got your final preview and prediction of LSU West Virginia. It's Locked on LSU. Here we go.
You are Locked on LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We're free, available wherever you get podcasts, of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. As always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving your comments below. So thank you sincerely for that. The day is here. LSU and West Virginia Super Regional Baseball returns to Alex Box Stadium at the new box. This will be the 9th Super Regional at the new Alex Box Stadium. The Tigers 5-3 in their previous 8. Of course, the 3, 2012 against Stony Brook, 2016 against Coastal Carolina, 2019 against Florida State. And at a place like LSU, when you've won 7 national championships, you've been to Omaha 19 times, the measure of this program and every team in it is not, do you make the postseason? Do you host a regional? Do you host a super regional? It's, do you get to Omaha, and what do you do when you get there? LSU's made 19 trips to the College World Series. They've won it 7 times, and Tigers are trying to make it 8. And as we've talked about here, they have a path paved in gold. Tigers are a heavy favorite against West Virginia, who is the 2 seed coming out of the Clemson Regional. And should LSU advance to Omaha, the way the bracket sets up, the first game for LSU would be against the winner of the Tennessee-Arkansas Super Regional. And LSU has already beaten both of those teams in weekend series, with Kade Anderson winning the opening game of both of those series. Now, both of those were at Alex Box Stadium. After that, you would play a winner's bracket game against either UCLA, UTSA, Duke, or Murray State. Point being, the path to and through the College World Series for LSU is paved in gold. We'll see if they can get there. It starts on Saturday, 1 o'clock Central Time against West Virginia. And there's an old axiom in baseball that you're only as good as your next day starting pitcher. And it's true. And for LSU, by and large, they've been really good when Kade Anderson and Anthony Eyanson have taken the ball. As a matter of fact, Kade Anderson, who will get the ball for LSU on Saturday in Game 1, LSU has not lost this year at Alex Box Stadium when Kade Anderson has pitched. They've lost only 2 of his starts, at Auburn and at Texas A&M. Every other time Kade Anderson has taken the baseball, LSU has won. On the flip side, LSU will face Kern, the lefty, Griffin Kern, the lefty from West Virginia, who, by the way, has lost 5 times. Now, his record is 5-2, but West Virginia has lost 5 times when he has started. It is also worth noting, West Virginia has won more road games this year than they have won the same amount of road games as they have played home games this year, 27. It's stunning, actually, that they played that many road games this season. But being on the road should be something very familiar to this West Virginia team. Now, Griffin Kern is a lefty, 6'3", 100 strikeouts and 95 innings pitched. He's got an ERA just north of 3. After that, we are going to see Anthony Eyanson, who has been magnificent for LSU this year, really co-aces with Kade Anderson and Anthony Eyanson. And for Eyanson, he'll go head-to-head in the Sunday game, the Game 2, with Jack Katsonis from West Virginia. Jack Katsonis, 2.94 ERA. He's a 6'4" right-handed pitcher. So we'll talk about why that matters in just a bit. But Jay Johnson met with reporters on Friday. Again, the final practice, which was open to the media. Then Jay Johnson and players met with reporters, and Johnson talked about this 1-2 punch of having Kade Anderson and Anthony Eyanson.
Tangible thing to win in the postseason you need is pitching, and we certainly have that with those two and the rest of the staff. I have great confidence in this staff, and those guys are winners, and it's just as much the type of competitor and person they are, and they just pair that with elite pitching skill. and it gives you a chance to win when they're on the mound, and you have to win this time of year to keep your season going. So it impacts it a lot, and I love those guys and very thankful for them.
Something we've talked about throughout the year, if you're an everydayer, you've probably heard me say this. I would argue that Anderson Eyanson this year is the best 1-2 punch we've ever seen at LSU. And that's not to say they haven't had better pitchers, but I mean 1-2 in tandem that season. I could even go back to 2012, where Kevin Gausman, as a sophomore, was your Friday guy. Then you had Ryan Eads, then Aaron Nola. Well, Aaron Nola, of course, became the most accomplished pitcher in LSU baseball history. But he was a freshman that year, and you're number 3. I'm talking in that given season. We can go back to 1991, where you had Chad Auger and Paul Byrd, who both went on to be big leaguers. There have been amazing pitchers that have come through this program, but Anderson and Eyanson are 1 and 3 in the country in strikeouts. They are both magnificent, and they are co-aces. Anybody would be lucky to have one. You've got them both on your team. Now, if there is something worth filing away about Anderson in game 1, remember this. Kade Anderson has had one slight bugaboo this year. Kade Anderson has allowed 14 home runs this season. Now, I know that part of the narrative becomes, well, Matt, that's great. West Virginia's only hit 55 all year. By comparison, LSU has 97 homers, and this is a quote-unquote down year in power for LSU. So if LSU's down at 97 and West Virginia's at half that number, roughly at 55, you'd think, no worries. But LSU and West Virginia are both going to play in the same conditions this weekend. And when the weather gets warm, and we're talking about temps in the 90s, heat index is over 100, and the wind starts blowing out at Alec Box Stadium, the ball tends to carry. So even though West Virginia's got only 55 homers, remember, they're a product of playing in Morgantown, lots of road games, half the season in cold weather environments. The ball's not going to fly as much. At the box, it's going to carry. Now, it will certainly suit and benefit LSU because Griffin Kern, their West Virginia starter, has allowed 12 home runs this year. You want to put up crooked numbers, elevate the baseball, get it to the outfield, watch it fly. That's something that is, I think that home run number is going to be significant this weekend because the conditions are going to favor the long ball, but it may favor West Virginia getting crooked numbers. To this point, and I'll give my hat tip to Hunt Palmer over at LouisianaSports.net, my colleague. Hunt has a piece up, 3 things to watch West Virginia at LSU. And something to keep in mind. With West Virginia, the way that their offense has gotten going this year is the fact that they walk, they get hit by pitches, they steal. That's how they create havoc. For example, if you look at the regional weekend, they had 5 innings where they put up crooked numbers. Those 5 innings featured 3 errors, 5 hit batsmen, and 6 walks. That's 14 free bases and only 3 extra base hits. All of them doubles, no homers. Those are the crooked number innings West Virginia put up in the Clemson Regional. Basically, their opponents gave them base runners and extra bases. LSU cannot do that. You have got to be able to defend at an elite level against West Virginia because, number one, you got to make them earn their way on base. You cannot walk them, cannot hit them. And when they're there, you have got to defend behind your pitchers. If you do that, LSU is going to have a fantastic opportunity. Jay Johnson also commented on his middle infield of Stephen Milam and Daniel Dickinson and the job they've done this year.
I think they've made a total of 7 errors combined over however many games. That's pretty darn good. They're also really good offensive players, too. They're good base runners. They're great baseball IQ guys. I did believe when we signed Danny that could end up being a strength of this team, and it absolutely has. I don't think either of them get the credit they deserve for the defense that they've played as being good offensive players. You know, college baseball, even on some of the best teams, you look around and sometimes player profiles will lend to one side of the ball as a strength, and both these guys are really complete players and why they've been so valuable for us.
It is interesting how at the start of this season, so much of the conversation was about would Braswell or Milam be the shortstop? Could Milam play on the left side of the infield? They've answered emphatically. LSU is fielding 982. At a big league level, the benchmark, like the threshold is 980. Big league teams field above 980. LSU's fielding 982. They're on pace to be the best defensive team statistically in the history of the LSU program, which is awesome. So you get that kind of defense behind Kade Anderson and Anthony Eyanson, you're cooking. Now, the other big question is, what do you do behind Kade Anderson and Anthony Eyanson in the bullpen? We'll get to that as we continue. Locked on LSU, your team every day. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action, and FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. The NBA Finals are here. The Pacers with a dramatic Game 1 win. You want to bet on Game 2 or the series? Do it right now over at FanDuel. And, of course, you can bet on the College World Series, LSU's future bets. You can do it right now over at FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, it is the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Anderson, Eyanson, as good a 1-2 punch as there is in the country, as good a 1-2 punch as LSU has ever had. Well, so far throughout this year, we've looked at LSU and we've always had sort of like the core four: Anderson, Eyanson, Cowan, Evans. We've known those four have been there. And LSU's Achilles heel this season has been the ability to find strike throwers out of the bullpen. The talent's undeniable. You get 8 guys that are 95 plus. Jacob Myers. You look at Jaden Newt, who's been really good of late. Chase Shores. There's no shortage of guys. Maverick Rizzi, Cooper Williams. There's arm talent. There's undeniable arm talent up and down this pitching staff. The problem has been the ability to consistently throw strikes. So you need Cowan and Evans to be great behind Anderson and Eyanson. And one of the big questions is, after Casan Evans on Monday threw 100 pitches in the win or go home game against Little Rock, how's the recovery gone, and will he be ready? Jay Johnson answered that on Friday.
Yeah, he's good. Feels great. Like I said, we've been able to pour everything into making sure every detail is buttoned up with every player, and obviously getting him recovered was important. But I think, this is a guy that threw 7 innings every week of a high school season for 4 years, and expects to take the ball and go deep into games. And he's done it this year. He did it over a 3-week period and recovered well. And, he'll be ready to go.
That's great to hear. I don't know that we doubted that at all. Evans throwing 100 pitches on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's 4 full days of rest to be able to give you something at the end of the game, because as much as I know the fan narrative or perspective is make him your number 3, and I get that, we saw LSU try that. I pushed back against it throughout the bulk of the season, and they tried it for 3 weeks. It went well against Tennessee, and the next 2 weeks it didn't go so hot. But remember where this conversation started. I want to remind you of this. So the reason we're talking about the core 4, Anderson, Eyanson, Cowan, Evans, is because you have had so few guys consistently throw strikes out of the bullpen. When you identify Evans and Cowan, they got to stay there, because if you get a 4-3 lead, let me play this hypothetical. LSU's winning 4-3. Anderson gives you 7 1/3. You're 5 outs away from winning. You got a 1-run lead. Are you going to say, we're going to save Casan Evans here in case we need him on Monday? Heck no, you're not. You have a chance to win Game 1. You're giving Casan Evans the baseball to go win the game. That's what you're going to do in that situation. So you got to have Evans available there. Now, if LSU's winning 12-1 and there's 5 outs to go, then go with your up 10, down 10 guys. Go with whoever. Go get William Schmidt. Go get Cooper Williams. Go get Maverick Rizzi. Go get whoever you want. DJ Primo, Connor Benj, whoever. Just go get any arm, throw strikes, and get home and preserve your best arms. If you can get to Game 3, if you need it, and Evans hasn't thrown, awesome. But if you have a chance to win Game 1, you're 5 outs away in a 1-run game. You're giving the ball to Casan Evans to get the out. Now, there's a time this year when the answer was Zach Cowan. And in 4 of his last 5 outings, including Monday, Zach Cowan has flatly not been good. And Jay Johnson was asked, How do you get him back on track?
I think everything is context. Like, I don't know how many appearances he's had, let's say 18, but if you went like 6 great appearances, 1 bad one, 6 great ones, 1 bad one, 6 great one, you'd land in the exact same spot. So I think maybe hitting on some perspective of that. The other thing too is you're talking about a guy that hadn't had much failure in college baseball over a 2-year period. And I think the first thing you do is make sure, he's pitching to the template of who he is and what makes him successful versus trying to do something he's not. And I don't think he's doing that, but get past that checkpoint and then just give him some visuals of him at his best and then a mental checkpoint of him at his best and put that all together, and then you trust a guy that's really, really good.
He's got to throw strikes. That it's its most basic level. Now, I understand what Jay's saying. We'll look at, what if it was 6 outings and it's a good one, 5 good ones, a bad one. That would be one thing, but that's just not what's happened. Zach Cowan was great from February until through April. And then all of a sudden at the beginning of May, he just hasn't been the same guy since. He lost twice in the A&M series, had a nice outing against Arkansas where he gave you 3 innings of relief in the 5-4 win. And you're thinking, okay, there's your bounce back. He's had a bad weekend against A&M. He goes out against South Carolina, gives up 3 runs on 4 hits, doesn't pitch in the SEC tournament, comes back against Little Rock on Monday, goes an inning and a third, walks 2, hits a guy, gives up 5 runs on 3 hits. So 4 of his last 5 outings have been blow up. That's not 5 good ones and a bad one. Like that I can understand, but it's been 5 outings. It's been 4 blow ups and 1 good one. It's been an inverse of what Jay Johnson's describing. So, I was having this conversation with Ryan Terrio, former Tiger great, 2-time World Series champ, of course, scored the game-winning run of the 2000 College World Series. And, I said, I think they need Cowan to be great. He said he doesn't agree with that they don't need Cowan to be great because you can get through it with Anderson, Eyanson, Cowan, Newt, Shores, Myers. You've got enough guys there that can be good for you. And I agree with that. The challenge is, however, if you end up in a loser's bracket situation, as long as you win behind Anderson, Eyanson, you stay in the winner's bracket, you can ride this thing all the way to a national championship. We saw Ole Miss do this in 2021. Dylan DeLucia and Hunter Elliott. They rode those 2 guys straight through the postseason all the way to a national championship. Those 2 were awesome. They were unflappable. LSU can do the same. You can do the same with 2. You can win 2 games this weekend and go to Omaha. You can win your winner's bracket game. You can win your first game with Anderson, win your winner's bracket game with Eyanson. Then you sit back. Someone's got to go win an elimination game, come back and beat you twice while you're rested. You win that game, then you go to the championship series. You got Anderson, Eyanson queued up again. National championship. That's the path. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's there to where you can do it without Zach Cowan being great for you. But obviously, having a veteran arm who can get outs, who you can trust to consistently throw strikes, is a huge part of this thing for LSU to be able to make it through the College World Series. So there's one thing left to do, and that's give you my final thought, what I think the keys are to this series, and give you a prediction. We'll do it as we wrap up Locked on LSU, your team every day. So LSU and West Virginia, it comes down to this for the Tigers. They got to win 2 games at home. And you could probably see where I'm leaning on this one. I like LSU a lot. The Tigers have not lost a home weekend all season. They did lose 3 weekends in conference play, and they were all on the road. They lost to Texas when they won game 1. They had a 5-2 lead in the back half of game 2. Bullpen blew it, and they lost game 3. They lost 2 out of 3 against A&M. They lost 2 out of 3 they had swept on the road at Auburn. And it's unfortunate when it happens that way, but at home, LSU has been such a gigantic favorite and a giant advantage. This week, Coach Steve Sabins, the head coach of West Virginia, was asked about playing at Alex Box Stadium, and he downplayed it because their teams played on the road at Clemson and other places. And the reality is Clemson's ballpark holds 6,000 people. It's just not the same. You can try to say it is or fabricate it. It's just not. Now, we have seen teams come to Alex Box Stadium over the years and handle the environment quite well. And Stony Brook is the most obvious example in 2012. This is a tiny team from upstate New York who came down to Baton Rouge and outplayed LSU the entire weekend. The only game LSU won was a weird game with multiple delays that got postponed on Friday and were resumed on Saturday, and yet dramatic extra inning dramatics from LSU to win that one. Otherwise, they'd have been swept right out of their own ballpark by Stony Brook. Sometimes teams handle the environment really well. Other times, there's what happened to Dallas Baptist this past weekend. Very good team ends up playing an elimination game and lost the marble game to LSU, where they played their worst game of the season, committed 4 errors, and then got eliminated by the 4 seed in Little Rock. Sometimes you just don't handle it. So we'll see where West Virginia falls on that sliding scale this weekend. I don't know how it's going to look, but what I do know is this. As much as we are concerned about LSU's bullpen in the number 3, the same is true with West Virginia. They've got 2 good starters in Griffin Kern and Jack Kartsonis, and after that, it's fall off a cliff, both in the bullpen and with the number 3 starter. Neither team wants to see this get to a day 3 because neither feels great about what they have on day 3. Now, LSU's got more talent, but the ability to throw strikes is a problem. I mean, LSU went into a winner-take-all on Monday against Little Rock, the lowest RPI team in the entire field, and found themselves down 5-1 in the second. Like, it can happen that way. So for LSU, the best path here is to win this thing in 2 and not chance it in game 3. You've got 2 better started pitchers. Anthony Eyanson, Kade Anderson are better than the 2 pitchers that West Virginia is going to throw out there. West Virginia offensively is not a team that's going to rely on stringing together base hits or the big blast. They're going to rely on you giving them base runners that they can then put pressure on you. Kade Anderson, Anthony Eyanson, by and large this year, have not done that. They have been outstanding this year in their ability to limit teams the self-inflicted wounds. Now, it is worth mentioning West Virginia is among the best in fewest strikeouts on the season offensively. Their team has struck out 400 times over the course of the season. By contrast or comparison, LSU has struck out 453 times this year. And LSU, generally speaking, is good at that. West Virginia tries to put the ball in play. I mean, they don't always have to get a hit, but they're going to battle you, try to drive up a pitch count, not strike out, to drive up pitch count and get a pitcher out of the game. So can Kade Anderson and Anthony Eyanson be effective enough to extend deep into the ball game to preserve the bullpen and give LSU's offense a chance to get going? It's worth filing that away right there. Neither team wants to see this thing go to a third game, and LSU would love to wrap this thing up at 2. And quite honestly, I think they will. As I mentioned, LSU has not lost a game at Alex Box Stadium this year with Kade Anderson starting. I don't think that starts on Saturday. I think LSU does win that game and wins it comfortably. And then they come back behind Anthony Eyanson with a chance to punch a ticket to Omaha. And I do think in that game, we'll see LSU's offense really get going against Kartsonis, the righty, where LSU's had a lot more success. It is worth mentioning the defensive numbers. LSU fielding 982 this season. Remember, that's outstanding. But remember, when LSU faces lefties, typically Josh Pearson plays in right field because Jake Brown has been better against righties than against lefties. So that's typically in the regional, LSU faced almost exclusively right-handed, or did face exclusive right-handed starting pitching. So Jake Brown started each game. And then we saw some replacements later whenever teams would go to lefties. But in game 1, Griffin Kern is a lefty, 6'3" lefty. So that very likely means that Josh Pearson would start in right and will be in the lineup there in game 1. That does make you a little vulnerable defensively in right field. Jake Brown is objectively a more athletic, talented, bigger, faster, a more gifted defensive player than Josh Pearson. So something worth filing away. If Pearson does start in right, see if the defense follows him out there. But LSU's defense has got to be flawless. That's the thing to keep in mind as we watch through this super regional. Your pitching has to limit walks hit by pitch. Your defense has to be flawless behind your pitching. Make West Virginia earn runs by stringing together hits or extra base hits, which by and large is not something they do very well. Make them do something they don't normally do to have to win the ball game. And the flip side of it for LSU, do what you always do. Go hit the baseball out the park when the wind's blowing out, play for some crooked number innings, and load up defensively behind 2 awesome starting pitchers and punch your ticket to Omaha. Of course, however it goes, we'll be here for it. Remember, we are live as soon as the games go final. So as soon as LSU West Virginia goes final, boom, we are live on the Locked On LSU YouTube channel. So if you're on podcast, thank you so much for being there. Please subscribe on your favorite podcast app, rate us, leave a review, but make sure you get over to YouTube and subscribe to the Locked On LSU YouTube channel. Hit the bell so you're notified when we post a new video or we go live, so you can join us immediately when the game ends for the Locked On LSU post-game show. Super regional and all the way through Omaha, hopefully all the way to a national championship. If you are on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video, and let a friend know that if they love the Tigers. We got you here every single day for Locked On LSU, your team every day.